All right, guys, we are recording, and it is another all-time high day. And I wanted to do that as an ode to Odell and Marty, who brought us so much in the past. And I missed their rabbit hole recap and their bottle opening pop at the beginning. But who better to share this with than with my brothers, Knut Svanholm and Luke de Wolf? Great to have you back on the Once Bitten podcast.
Great to be back, Daniel. It's been we haven't done this since forever. It feels like.
It
Yeah.
does. Yeah. Luke was last on when he was dropping little hints about what we're going to talk about the book,
Yes.
Clown
Yes.
World, inversing Clown World, or inverting Clown World, I should say. But Lauren is going to. Lauren, do you want to explain the game?
Um, so
Good to see
basically
you
what...
too. Good to see you too, Lauren.
Oh
Just
yeah, sorry.
before you
Hi.
start, yeah. Hi, Lauren.
So the game is gonna be you have to pick a number between 11 and 167.
Yes.
And whichever number you pick.
That's it.
Oh.
Don't tell anyone.
Oh.
No more.
Okay.
So who wants to go? Who do you think should go first?
Knut's hands was
Yeah.
Yeah. I picked a number.
Go for it. Tell us.
Shall I tell you the number
Yes.
before anyone else has picked a number?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the number I picked is 21.
Oh, you said he was gonna pick that one.
Okay, so we are going to turn to page number 21
There we
in the
go.
book. And then we are going to ask you to explain one of these paragraphs to Lauren. And I'm sure you've got page 21 imprinted on your mind.
I mean, I have no idea what's on page 21, but it's got to be in the first couple of chapters.
Knut, do you have any idea at all? No cheating, no peeking.
I don't. I'm absolutely clueless. I don't know what is in which book at this point. Like, I don't know anything. I don't know, hardly even know my name. It's hard to remember things. There's so many things happening all the
Your
time.
name is Swedish, so that's difficult.
I'm called
Okay.
Swedish. I'm Swedish Svanholm.
You have right. You ready for this? I'm going to read a paragraph. Excuse me, and then you're going to have to explain it to Lauren, or we'll ask Lauren if she's understood any of it. And
All right.
If not, then you've got to do your best to explain it to a 13-year-old who wants to learn about your book and your work.
Fantastic.
So here we go. Axelrod's Prisoner's Dilemma tournament underscores a fundamental truth. The balance between self-interest and cooperative behavior is crucial in the game of life, where decisions shape futures. This balance, encoded in our very nature, demonstrates the impact of strategic choices on our individual and collective destinies. Empirical evidence suggests that, more often than not, the best long-term strategy is to be cooperative. So, do you know what the prisoner's dilemma is, Lauren? There you go, Knut. Perfectly lined up. The listeners,
all right,
they must be gripping their seats with
that was
apprehension.
Maybe the most convoluted paragraph in the entire book, But it's kind of hard to take that specific paragraph out of its context because it's very much tied to everything that came before and came before it at least, and it's about that there's a in a branch of mathematics called game theory, which is a way to figure out the optimal way to play a game or several games. Like so the whole branch of mathematics is about how best to play certain types of games. And one of those games is called the prisoner's dilemma, where there are two to be prisoners. They're not in jail yet, but they're in court, and they can either rat on the other guy or keep their mouth shut. And depending on what they do, they get different sentences. So if and also depending on what the other guy does. So if both of them cooperate and no one rats the other one out, then they get a short sentence. If one rats on the other and the other doesn't, then the one that ratted on the other, or like deflected is the word we use in the book, I believe.
Defected.
Yeah, of course, defected. if one defects and one cooperates, then the one defecting gets no sentence at all, and the other one gets quite a harsh sentence. And if they both defect, then they both get a medium sentence. Is that right? Have I got this right, Luke?
Yeah,
top of your head.
like you could use actual numbers as an example. Like they would each get 1 year if they both stayed honest, and the guy doing the ratting out would go free, get 0 years, and his unfortunate buddy would get 3 years. And if they both rat each other out, they would both get 2. Something
Yes.
like that. That doesn't make it that much simpler, but at least it helps to have some numbers.
Anyway,
right?
it is a way to illustrate that a specific type of game that is not only a mathematical theory, but this also plays out in nature and in human interactions all the time, like similar types of games. And the funny thing about this, and about this guy with a funny surname, Axelrod, is that he figured out that if you play this game once, the correct way, or the optimal way to play the game, is to defect, and thereby like ratting out the other guy and go for the quick gain. But if you know that you're playing this game over and over and over again, then the optimal strategy is something called tit for tat, and that is to just cooperate. And if the other guy defects at one point, you retaliate appropriately. So it's like an eye for an eye sort of ethic. So you're allowed to defect once if the other guy defects once, and then you go back to trusting the other guy again. So that is the optimal strategy for both players if you play the game over and over again. So this is why, and the reason it's in the book is to illustrate that there's an actual, not only a praxeological, which is a word I think you know by this point, Lauren, underpinning to all what to why collaboration is better than fighting over resources, but there's also a very fundamental mathematical truth to why we're better off collaborating and cooperating than fighting one another. So this is in the first chapter of the book. So this is like setting things up. Like it's to me that's a very comforting thought that it is mathematically provable almost from a certain perspective at least, that cooperation is more efficient than trying to steal one another's stuff.
Okay, so just cooperate.
Just cooperate, Lauren. That's it.
Would you like to add something, Luke?
Yeah, I think that the context of the book, why we put this at the start as well, was everything stems from incentives, the incentive structures, the way the world works. And right now, the world is set up in a way that puts people against one another. It creates an artificial zero-sum game. But economics is not a zero-sum game. The real world is not a zero-sum game. When 8 billion minds are unlocked in cooperation with one another, to paraphrase Jeff Booth, who we talked to recently, yeah, that's the power of Bitcoin is taking away the artificial incentive structures that keep us at odds with one another, and unlocking that cooperation. And so the whole book is really a journey through, a short one, but it's a journey through the problems of the world today. I was actually just thinking before we started this is very much a bear market book. Like it's a book that's born out of that we've just been in this couple of years of pretty hard times, and it's not just been a bear market in the sense of Bitcoin. Like we've been in some tough times for a few years, and this book is born out of trying to figure that out. And we really had a great time putting this thing together, and by the end of it, I was blown away at sort of the journey that we took ourselves on, because the entire process of writing this book was I mean, Knut wrote the rough drafts and all this, but really we put it all together, and It really came into its own, and so we start with incentives because it's the thing that underpins all of these ideas, and it's like a intro to Austrian economics light. So you can read Praxeology if you want. You can read the book Praxeology, but you can also read the Mises and all that other stuff if you want to like deep dive into that. But this was like a just get enough in there that there's a foundation, and then the rest of the book leads from that. So is that a would you agree with that, Knut?
Yes, I would agree with that, Luke.
Excellent. All right. Well, we can't let Luke off the hook.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. She's ready. She's ready for more.
Take a number.
121.
Let's see.
Now that I know what your game is, this might be more fun.
121.
Okay, so I've got to pick something here. Yeah. Jevons Paradox. Jevons Paradox, named after British economist William Stanley Jevons, who observed this effect in the 19th century with coal consumption, is an economic concept that describes a counterintuitive situation in which increases in the efficiency of resource use lead to higher rather than lower overall consumption of that resource. Okay. Who wants to take a stab at Jevons Paradox for 13-year-olds?
Am I supposed to take this one, Knut, since it was my number, or
If you want to, I can. If you
no,
you can.
you go ahead. You go ahead.
Yes. So this is a way of saying that if something gets cheaper and cheaper over time, then intuitively you would think that the market would be saturated, that people would use up all they need in that area, and that would be it. So that people would like buy up the cheap stuff and stop using it. But the opposite is true. So and it's very easy to see in something like the example in the book is coal, but it's easier to see if you think about something like computer memory storage, which has constantly fallen in price since it was invented, basically. And like when I grew up, my first computer was a Commodore 64, and the 64 meant that it had 64 kilobytes of memory, the entire thing, which is like, I don't think you have a single picture on any computer that is less than 64 kilobytes big. So that is computer memory storage has fallen in price dramatically year after year. There's something called Moore's law, which says that approximately every 2 years, it's cut in half, the price of computer memory. But that didn't lead to people like buying all the calculators, and then that was that. It led to the computer revolution. People started using computers more and more and more and more, and then the internet was born out of that. And like, there's no stopping what you can do with the thing. So Jevons Paradox is sort of like when the price drops or the cost of a thing drops, then that leads to more usage of that thing and not less. And there's some interesting ideas around that and around absolutely scarce money or absolutely finite money, which is Bitcoin. And that is that maybe on a Bitcoin standard, Jevons Paradox can be interpreted slightly differently because you don't have the inflation in the money supply. So therefore, maybe you think twice before buying even a better computer. But it's also to say, and to illustrate another point, that we don't have to be scared of this deflation spiral that mainstream economists warn about all the time. They say that if we don't have inflation, that people wouldn't spend anything, like they would hoard cash and never use any of their money. But Jevons Paradox sort of disproves that if things are getting cheaper, people will buy more of it, and this is a good thing. Is that a good answer, Luke?
So
yeah, no, go ahead, Lauren.
So it's hold on. I was gonna say something, but then I forgot what I was gonna say.
Price is getting cheaper.
No, I was gonna say something really smart, and then I forgot it.
You can think of. Have you heard the meme? Sell all your chairs. So like you
Yeah.
only need one chair. Now even Uncle Chad, Uncle Sailor talks about that sometimes. You only need one chair. Yeah, like and you need one microphone to do the pod and blah blah blah.
And one yacht.
But yeah, and Jevons, yeah,
three.
and one, well, only three if you have one big and two small ones.
It's just a big chair on the sea anyway.
But this Jevons Paradox says that Sailor will not sell all his chairs. He will just sell the really unnecessary ones, but he will still be able to throw, 100K parties and stuff in the future. That's sort of, I guess that's, if you read between the lines of Jevons Paradox, that people will still do stuff. You don't have to be scared of deflation.
Okay. Sorry, Luke. You can go.
No, all I was going to add to this was that this came out of directly out of a conversation with Lynn Alden. She was talking about like going real deep into this and the implications, and we ended up fitting it in the chapter which this is in. I think this is the Bitcoin Fixes this chapter. I think, but we start to get into solutions. Basically, good. I got it right.
It is in the Bitcoin Fixes this chapter, correct?
Yeah, good.
Awesome. I think it's also connected to that which you can do without your own thing, and it's sort of debunking my theory that one will become like a Jack Dorsey type monk after hyper Bitcoinization. People will still crave stuff, like just not unnecessary stuff.
Yeah. All right. I'm looking forward to these days. You're going to grow into it. That's the exciting thing. I remember we had Jeff on in 2020, and that's when he'd first launched his book. And I remember saying to you, imagine, your life, the rest of your life, prices going down forever rather than up forever.
Didn't you say this in the last podcast?
Yeah. It's a very profound thought process to go through because look, at this stage in the game, there are a lot of new listeners coming to both of our podcasts. People are finding Bitcoin because it's going crazy and it's all-time highs and it's actually in the news and it's positive and this, that, and the other thing. So they're looking for educational resources. But luckily for us, we went through this mind gymnastics like 4 or 5, 6, 7 years ago, whenever it was, that the three of us started looking into Bitcoin, and getting your mind around the idea of deflation and prices going down forever is a complete head screw because we've been indoctrinated, and our parents,
for 5,000 years.
Yes.
But Daniel, do you remember when we did a pod about my second book, Independence Reimagined? This is great because we Luke and I are re-editing that thing now. So we're re-releasing all the books, and we're doing a slight readability re-edit of all of them to make them the best they can. I'm not being George Lucas here and adding CGI monsters everywhere, but we're just fixing typos and whatnot and grammatical errors. But in that book, there's it's all there about the falling prices and deflation. It's all there except I don't explain it like Jeff does. Like it's just the thought is there, but there's no explainer.
Right. I do remember,
but it's great.
I was just looking for it on the shelf here. It's in there amongst all of the other hundreds, and I do remember going through it. And I think, my pen ran out of ink. I think I told you after about the first time. I gave up underlining. I'm like, fuck it, underline everything. So I'm looking forward to the new updated CGI version. That's going to be very, very cool.
Well, and actually, we should spill a couple of beans on this topic.
Wait, Luke. It's called spilling the tea now.
Spilling the tea is that the new?
So 8 years ago.
Spilling the beans doesn't exist in 13-year-old land.
Is it because the Republicans won?
Yes, of course.
This is a deep joke.
Yeah.
Don't get it, but okay.
Okay.
They were called the Tea Party back in the. Anyway.
Yeah, it's America.
That was more than 8 years ago.
Oh.
You do get it right. Okay. Well, you can use that one if you want.
I don't think.
You don't think you'll find a way to fit that in?
Are you guys staunch monarchists? You carry the flag for the king and all that?
I think they are monarchists, but they just think they have the wrong king.
Yeah, we won't go into.
That's a whole different story.
Yeah, let's not get into pedo stuff
Yeah.
in the first 20 minutes.
Fair.
Luke, where were we? Spilling the beans. You were going to spill the tea.
Well, hey, yeah, let's here's one project that we're doing, and we're going to launch this, I would guess, within a short amount of time of this pod coming out. We're going to start releasing chapter by chapter all of these re-edited editions of Knut's book, starting with Sovereignty Through Mathematics, one a week on Noster. So it's going to be a long read on Noster each chapter. Freely available, of course. It's Noster. And then we're gonna do a video kind of like recap of the chapter, like a explainer. What were you thinking? Has your mind changed? I give my take, that sort of thing. And so this is going to be like a side series. We'll have it on our YouTube channel, also native on Noster. We've been releasing all of our episodes native on Noster. Not always a day early, but at least first on Noster. And so we're really leaning into this thing, and also kind of trying to start a thing like, hey, just release your work for the world, and see what comes out of it. If people want to support, they can of course buy a physical copy. That still costs money. You can just zap us if you want, but read it. We're calling it the Bitcoin Infinity Book Club. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Are you gonna put it on Twitter as well?
Oh yeah, like but we won't put the text on Twitter. Like they've got to do the work. Like go to Noster and do the work. Yeah.
The text is free, but it's either embedded in the YouTube video, which is kind of hard to read from, or it's on Noster. Like at least you can spin up a Noster profile like that.
The only reason I asked about Twitter is because that could be your little explainer videos in particular. If one of those or a handful of those start going viral, you might get that chance to start getting paid and do the speculative.
Oh, that would
attack.
be nice.
No, the videos will be on Twitter for sure. Yeah, those will be on Twitter for sure.
Yeah, because I just found Opus. Tim Allen over at Free Cities pointed me towards Opus. I think Efrat put him onto it. Man, it's so good. Like you just upload a video in there and it clips it all up, like 10 to 15 clips. I don't know if you've been following up so I dug out an old Sailor interview from 2020 because there was a lot of stuff about
I just saw the clip.
Academy. Yeah. But the one I released today was about him being inspired by Tahini. And I thought, man, like these past episodes that they're so forgotten. So with Opus, you can just take those little clips. They clip about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. It's all done for you, all completely transcribed and annotated. And you can just put in some cool little AI pictures that kind of, match up with what he's saying, and you can drag them around and then post it. Fantastic. That would have taken so long otherwise. In fact, I couldn't have done it.
No, we started using that as well, but actually, like we still had a bottleneck. Like even that was like just too time consuming to even go through that whole process and schedule it. So now we actually have some help, a little bit of help. Yeah. So shout out to Max and Theo who are making some great clips and helping us to go a bit further. They're pros.
You guys are hiring?
Well, like a little bit. not a lot, not like full-time incomes yet, but
you've taken this. I think you're up to about 150 episodes. It's been awesome following you two come together and everything you've done, and it's nice to know now that you've really leaned in. I mean, I'm Lauren's people, right? I do all the scheduling. Yes. I set up the interviews.
You said that last podcast.
She shows up for 20 minutes and then leaves, and then I have to wrap everything else up and then do the post edit and get it released. And
so you're Luke and Lauren is Knut. That's right.
Yeah. You need
Well,
a
that's
hat.
good to hear.
A hat?
Yeah,
Like what?
because Knut wears hats.
Oh.
You got hats behind you.
You should have a Make Daniel Pay Again hat. Like,
Mm. No, it should be. It's going up forever, Lauren.
I think.
All right. Are you done? Do you have any further questions? Did you want to perhaps choose your own number and I'll read that and see if we can get something else going?
All right.
Do it.
All right.
I'll just flip a couple pages and see which one.
You're just going to flick to a page. All right, fine.
I know 121.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
you picked 121 again?
Jevons Paradox.
Okay. I looked at 83 first.
So we're 83.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
All right.
Oh no.
Hang on. Oh, yeah. Knut's going to love this one. Right, okay. Right. Moreover, the same cancel culture that has turned modern comedy into a non-offensive, humorless, politically correct word syrup increasingly stifles science too. Mainstream media's tendency to parrot and amplify whatever those closest to the money printer say affects everything. The underlying forces stemming from everyone's incentive to get as close as possible to the currency spigot create an intricate maze of hands that feed that will inevitably punish any rebellious scientist trying to bite them. Properly incentivized, misaligned projects perpetuate and expand popular narratives. I love the way you got the comedy angle in there. And
it's the same thing.
Well, yeah. So, yeah, do you want to expand on what's going on here? You're having a pop at the paragraph before that was about peer review and cancel culture and science and everything else.
This is from the pendulum chapter, I believe, which must be your favorite chapter
for you, just to make sure that we are.
Sounds right.
You're 2 pages into pendulum.
Yeah. So this I should explain the paradox, the paragraph first, and then maybe say a few words about the chapter. So the paragraph is about explaining. So there's a Venn diagram in the chapter which I made with Giacomo Succo a while back about 3 different ways of doing science.
Please explain a Venn diagram because Lauren might not understand.
A Venn diagram is like a couple of circles, in this case 3 circles, and they intersect, and in the intersections is something that is true for both the circles. I bet you've seen them somewhere.
Just drawn an example. Yeah, okay, perfect.
Yeah. So if you have a Venn diagram with hippies and hipsters, for instance, there's kombucha in the middle. Yeah. Anyway, so this one had deductive reasoning, which is the Austrian method and praxeology and all of that, the Misesian stuff that Bitcoiners love. And it had peer-reviewed academic research as one circle, and it had a third circle called bro science. And there are a couple of intersections, and in the middle is, of course, Bitcoin. And we did this sort of for fun, but it became a part of this chapter. And in it, I tried to describe, or we tried to describe why academic research is flawed nowadays, and it mostly has to do with funding. There's nothing wrong with the scientific method per se, and there's nothing wrong with empiricism per se, if it weren't for the fact that everyone can be bought, including scientists. So the funding of the schools and the universities lead people to make decisions based on what will pay them the most rather than actually searching for the truth. And the more money printing there is, the higher, the more amplified this effect gets. And that's why you get most proper scientists are very frustrated by this, and some of them become YouTubers and stuff instead, and start doing other things. But there are incentive problems with academic research, and so this chapter it explores the three circles and what can be good for what. So and also it draws a lot of inspiration from Hans Hermann Hoppe's work, where he explains like the people that really like the scientific method and systematic academic research, they're called empiricists because of empirical evidence. And a claim that they make, that is sort of the foundation of why we should do science, is that we can never know anything with 100% certainty. But as Hoppe points out, that statement in itself is contradicts itself, because if that is true, then that is something we can know to 100% certainty. Do you understand, Lauren? Like it's a paradox, right? To say that you cannot know anything, to be absolutely certain that nothing can be 100% true, is is like a logical paradox.
So,
Because that cannot be, that statement in itself, if that's not 100% true, then none of the statement is true. Then we can know stuff to 100%. And this is I find I love those little paradoxes, and I love to explore what they mean and what they imply. And the other way of doing science, or the thing that should govern what kind of empirical research we should focus our time and effort on, is deductive reasoning, pure logic, like stating like 2 + 2 = 4 is true because we define 4 as 4 units of something, and we've defined 2 as 2 units of something, and 1 as 1 unit of something. So the very definition of 2 is 1 + 1, and 2 + 2 is 4. Like there's no other way to explain the number 4. So it is true, 100% true, because the definition of the word is in. It cannot be anything else but true, because we define the word as that. And but what most people don't know is that you can do this for subjective things too. You can do this for human action, and you can say absolutely true statements about the economy. And one of the absolute statements you can make about it is that the market is always changing and always dynamic, and that you can't use empirical evidence to draw any conclusions from it, because it could be totally different the next day. So there's a lot of, I'm rambling here, but there are a lot of different. It's a whole
I'll just read
of paradoxes.
I think you nailed the sentence in the book. We can never know anything with 100% accuracy. It can only be true if the statement itself is 100% accurate, which in turn would prove the statement wrong. That's what
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, it's easier.
This is why we edit.
Yeah. This is why we edit. This is why I have Luke.
Well,
and Mel.
Well, and maybe I can give a little context about how this chapter came together, because this was actually a pretty special chapter. It was the last one we wrote, the last full chapter we wrote, and the inspiration came on Madeira. It started with a conversation about how proof of work is actually sort of a lie, and that the real thing is proof of results, and that forms about the second half of this chapter. What the miners are looking for in proof of work is actually the hash that would form a valid block that can be added to the blockchain. All of the other work doesn't matter if they don't eventually find a block. And the proof of work, we've been deep diving into some of this mining stuff because we went to Slovenia for the NiceHashX conference and had just like a lot of good mining conversations around there. And even still, like, that thesis really holds true, because ultimately, if you don't find a block, no one gets paid. No one gets the Bitcoin. No one gets the fee. None of it, right? So
what you're saying is you're rewarded on the result, not the work.
Yes.
Right.
And the work you put into it, of course, is good. You can grow from that, but you need results for it to matter. Part of it is definitely that useless work, just for the sake of work. I mean, a lot of this goes into that this is related to labor theory of value, basically. Like it's not necessarily just that you put work into something that doesn't make it inherently valuable. It's the result that matters and someone else valuing it, right? But the reason this became pendulum was because this also tied into that in the Bitcoin community and also some online communities generally, like that pendulum, people kind of swing from one extreme to the other, right? Like react kind of opposite whatever is the trend, right? So if someone is pushing veganism, carnivory becomes the trend, right? So it these ideas tied together. I actually don't know if the main reason why it's all the same chapter is because it all came up for us at the same time. But these two ideas, we had a long talk walking down the hill in Madeira from the conference venue back down towards where the our Airbnbs were. And yeah, it's just to me this was about the time frame where the book was really being finished. Almost all the other chapters were done, but we came up with one more idea, and this was the last one. So this is the last whole chapter that made it into the book. So
Hmm.
yeah.
So I'm just drawing an analogy in my mind on this proof of result thing, and I don't know why, but it just sprung to mind. Is Formula One and a Formula One race, and you've got 20 cars on a grid. I mean, the proof of work is there for everybody to see. You've got two cars per team. You've got huge amount of engineering and everything that's gone into getting these cars onto the grid, right? Down to the tiniest little wing nut. The proof, but only one is going to get the proof of result at the end. Everything has to come together over the next 65 laps, whatever it is, and those points are given to that driver. And over the course of 20 races, a whole season, the one that accumulates the most results will win the block reward of the trophy.
This is a good analogy to Bitcoin mining, but it's not really the point of the critique of proof of work in the chapter. So,
Right.
so I'd say like if someone there's a trend with Bitcoiners to do something that takes a long time and requires a lot of effort, regardless of like what the end result is and if anyone actually asked for it. Like there's this guy writing the word Bitcoin 21 million times in a book, for instance. Nobody asked him to do that. He's just like, oh, proof of work. I'm not, and he's a lovely guy, so I don't want to bash him too much, and maybe that is valuable in the future. So who am I to say? But the point I still think is an example of like your the market the price signal is supposed to tell you where to allocate your time and effort. Like
Maybe artwork is a place to look.
artwork.
Because let's use Brecky. Love Brecky. And do you remember like 2-3 years ago he hand carved that thing? All of a sudden
Yeah.
he just went maniacal on like he taught himself how to carve. Most
Yeah.
incredible piece. And at the auction, for whatever reason, I don't think it met his reserve, and he was a bit bummed out about it.
Yes.
So is this like so the proof of work was there because we all saw it was documented and everybody was really impressed by it, but the proof of result was different.
Yeah. So there's, I mean, the thing is there, and I don't want to bash Brecky because I love the guy, and I kind of like, or I not only kind of, but I like his art and I like what he does. But apparently, in that specific case, the market didn't like it as much as Brecky thought it would, right? So I think art is a very good.
Whereas Fractal's piece,
Yeah, but we shouldn't compare the two because it's kind of unfair. I would say uh, this is gonna irritate some Bitcoiners, but if the market wants a Jason Pollock more than they want a Michelangelo, then like uh, Jason Pollock used his time and effort more efficiently from a pure market signal perspective. I mean, the example we draw in the book is there are two examples. One is the Beatles, and if you look at the Get Back documentary, I don't know if you've seen it, the Peter Jackson thing, they restored the thing. Uh, you can see how the Beatles worked, and it's not work at all. They're just playing around. They're just fucking fiddling around and fooling around, doing. They seem to be enjoying themselves all the time, and they're playing, literally playing. Like that's what they're doing. It's not effort. It's then again they were doing it all the time, but it seems like they weren't like forcing anything. And if a song came out of it, then good. And their entire career spanned 7 years. and some of their stuff is totally timeless from all periods of those, like sub periods of those 7 years. And the other example is Bill Murray, the actor, who made an art form out of not giving a fuck and not putting in any effort in anything. The guy is like the way he is in the movies, he's the same way in real life. He once got busted driving a golf cart around and round in a roundabout in Stockholm at 4 a.m. in the morning. Like, so he's like the embodiment of a midlife crisis, like just doing fuck all. and uh, and the market loves it. I love it. Like, so this is the thing, like, just because you put in the work, that's what Marx thought value was derived from. Then a Formula One race is somewhat of a different beast, because you have to put in the work to have any shot at getting anywhere there, and which is true for most careers, I'd say. But it's not a cure all, and it's not like, it's still the results that actually matter. And some Bitcoiners tend to forget that. And this was the whole chapter was sort of like, what are the flaws? What are some of the flaws we see in the Bitcoin community? And one of them is this addiction to proof of work. And just because you do proof of work now, then some, because of that, because you are banging your head against the wall over and over again, we're supposed to take you more seriously for some reason. And the other one is like, the other big paradox we see in the Bitcoin community is that some people, some Bitcoiners, whenever they realize that the government is wrong about something, or the government is lying to them, they instantly cling on to, oh, so Alex Jones was right all the time. And they take like the most popular conspiracy theory and take that thing to be true instead. And both of those things are like, yeah, but I guess we're trying to promote skepticism, and like, because skepticism had such a key part in how in my Bitcoin journey and how I found this thing in the first place. It was because I was a skeptic first and foremost. And hang on, no, I questioned the old system. That's how I found Bitcoin. And what ironclad my belief in it was that I questioned this thing too, and I was skeptic to it. So that's why I started studying it, and like, okay, but this can't be true. This is too good to be true. And then I deep dive a little more, and oh, holy shit, that actually works because this and this. And then that's why I'm spreading the skeptic's gospel now, if you will. Like, so I guess Pendulum is an ode to that mindset. What would you say, Luke?
Yeah, well, I mean, I just love that I got my Edgar Allan Poe reference, which is actually a Nightwish reference into the start of the book. So that was pretty cool for me. But no, like this was peak breaking down. The first half of the book is a lot of being really uncomfortable. A lot of yeah, here are a lot of problems. Here are a lot of issues going on here. And Pendulum, I think, was the one that's supposed to be almost everyone reading it should get a little jab of something in there, little one.
Yeah, it's the provocative.
But then we take it back in the following chapters. The intention is to okay, now we're done with the problems and everything. Now let's focus on the solutions and the journey out of that, because really this entire thing, all of life is a journey, right? And every time we face a set of challenges, we have to confront that. The longer you push off confronting a problem, the bigger it's going to get, you know. And so the first half of this book is a lot of like, here, let's lay out the problems of the world out here, including the problems in the Bitcoin community, the issues that we're facing right now. Again, this is a very 2024 book, 2023, 2024, but still it's still relevant even when we're, you know, literally minting all-time highs as we're talking, which, by the way, we have been. Happy all-time high, guys. And it's supposed to then take everyone out of it, the readers, into, you know, the better future that Bitcoin provides, and really be an optimistic book. So don't mistake what this is. But yeah, I really enjoyed how this chapter came together, because it was really a capstone on the process of this book, which at that point was about we were about 3 months into really the book existing. And from here on out, from this point out, we really went into editing mode. But this was like the final missing piece, and that was really cool. It kind of tied the whole thing together. So that's what this chapter is to me.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna have to let Lauren go because she's gonna run off to go and do a class. You got a class coming up.
Yep, I do. So,
But don't be afraid to swing by the kitchen on the way through there.
well, I gotta cram all this information in my head now.
That was 45 minutes of like damn.
Great to see
Don't
you,
share
Lauren.
that with your class.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, that would take hours.
What was the class? I forgot.
Geography.
Geography. We
Yeah.
can't get Jevons Paradox
important.
into geography, can we?
No, that's country, but like,
You can get borders of bullshit into the geography class.
Yeah, you could do that.
Plan B passport.
Yeah.
yeah.
Passport, borders.
I don't think
Yeah.
the teacher would like me anymore after that.
Hmm.
All right. Well,
There's no
yeah,
such
thank
thing
you for
as
having-
there's no such thing as Zimbabwe. Rhodesia. Like
Right,
that's
well-
Yes,
all
make
right.
Rhodesia great again. Yes, absolutely.
All right. Thank
Great
you
to
for
see you,
having me. I
Lauren.
need to go now. So
Yeah.
bye-bye. Have a good day.
Great to see you. Bye.
Yeah, but Rhodesia would be named after Cecil Rhodes, and that comes with its own.
Yeah.
Mm.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, okay. Let's go back to the Venn diagram. Come on. We've got to do some bro science, bros. We have to, because
My favorite example of bro science is the seed oils theory, which is like the I mean, I wouldn't call I haven't, disclaimer here, I haven't done the research, I haven't done a deep dive on this, but as I understand it, the theory is that the seed oil is there to protect the seed from the animal it goes through, so that the seed comes out unscathed on the other side of the animal, including human beings, and that therefore they are not. They have their evolution. They have not evolved to benefit the host body of whatever it's going through. The only thing, like the host body, from the seed's perspective, the host body only needs to survive during the journey of the seed, and the seed doesn't give a fuck about the well-being of the thing it's traveling through. And this sounds like a very plausible theory, and I can buy it because I think it's pretty good bro science, because it makes sense to me. But I'm also humble enough, dare I say so, to say that I don't really know this. Like, there's no proof here, there's no evidence. It only makes sense because my brain thinks it does. Like, it's not something that I can prove nor disprove. And if I don't think seed oils are the primary reason that Americans are fat, I think there are many other factors playing into that too, like sugar addiction and no sidewalks and stuff like that. So
lack of exercise in general.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So have you watched Max DeMarco's documentary on seed oils?
Yes.
So he goes more along. He doesn't bring up what you talked about. He goes along like the refining process and how they actually get these oils out of the seeds, which are tiny. You know, if you were actually to see a rapeseed, it is, my God, it's just You could hold tens of thousands in the palm of your hand. That's how small they are. And the refining process that they go through before they even make it on the shelf that's where the real evil is harming our bodies, because the amount of chemicals that they need to go through that, and then to deodorize it, that's the worst part. It has to go through some kind of chemical cleaning, because it is just completely, you can't even smell it. It's inedible because of the smell. So that, I think, is the biggest problem. The oil alone, who knows? But like the chemical like interactions and fuckery.
But this is sort of the thing I'm against, because like it does make sense, and I avoid them. Like, and the thing I do is, like, I try to eat mostly meat and eggs and stuff you can't tamper with, because I don't trust any of these industries and I don't trust the science around them is obviously biased. But also at the same time, I do not know if these chemicals are bad for me or not. Like it seems like they are, but I wouldn't go out there and say that I know this stuff because I haven't actually done the research. Actually, doing research often takes a lot of time and a lot of resources, and especially when it comes to something like food, like the theory that red meat causes cancer, for instance. Like, who likes red meat? Like, mostly wealthy men, because they are the only ones that can afford red meat. What do wealthy men also like? Cigars, cognac, and prostitutes. So like they might have a shorter lifespan for different reasons than the red meat. Like the whole thing is so these studies and how they correct for errors in them is something to be taken with a very big grain of salt. But
and the studies, you said, the studies are flawed, especially on like the peer-reviewed side. So just 2 days ago, for example, it hit the mainstream media: seed oils causing cancer, blah 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 blah, and everyone was retweeting it around. Great, yeah. Been talking about this for God knows how long. However, how do we trust the scientists that have come to that conclusion, and how did they come to that conclusion?
Yeah, and unless you know
who funded that research, and why.
So the thing with the term "do your own research" is so popular, but few people know what it implies. Like, if you're doing your own research, then you have to do your own fucking study over 20 years. Like, and you have to correct for errors and blah, 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 and try to be as unbiased as possible. Most people can't do their own research. So in some areas, we have to trust authority to one extent or another. And like the point of the pendulum chapter is like, how do you separate the signal from the noise? Like, where is what appropriate? Where is deductive reasoning appropriate? Where is a systemic academic research appropriate? And where is bro science appropriate? And it's up to each and every one of us. It's just like, keep your skepticism. It's not there. There's usually not a magic cure-all. There's no superfood. There's no magic pill. There's no magic bullet. Like, it's more complicated than that usually.
And different things are going to work for different people, and where you are living and what you are eating. This is what Jack Cruz talks about. Have you guys had Jack on yet?
Not yet, but he's the guy talking about a lot about sunlight, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sunning your balls, which is probably right in the center of your Venn diagram as well.
No, I've adopted some of his stuff. Like, we have LED lights for the kids now at night. Red lights. Well, whenever the sun is down, we do red light instead of other stuff. And I think I've naturally have quite a good alignment with that theory, because I wake up around when the sun goes up and I fall asleep around when the sun goes down. So I don't really have that much of a problem with it.
And
lucky you living in Spain.
Jack's done 30 years of study on that as well. I mean, he's mind-blowing when you get him talking about it. But do you think, Luke, I'll kick this across to you, because we've been hogging the mics here. Do you think moving to a hyper-Bitcoinized world, getting people onto a Bitcoin standard, is obviously going to take some time to unravel this, but do you think like independent funded research could become reinvigorated under a Bitcoin standard? Or...
Yeah, absolutely. Because the thing here, if this isn't under a centrally planned complex, because honestly, science is it's not that it's planned exactly, but like the source of funds and the way professors get tenure, all of this stuff, the education industrial complex is, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here with you. Like, it's really a system, and just being able to break out of that. I mean, we saw this we saw the real kernels of this over the last 10 years or so, with Joe Rogan having guys like Graham Hancock on, who are really not liked by the mainstream profession, but these guys are bringing up things that go against the narrative, and maybe to a certain extent they're bro sciencey about it in the respect that it's not going through the peer review system. But when someone actually goes and looks at a topic such as, hey, maybe there is evidence for human life 12,000 plus years ago. And here's why I think that. This is all the evidence currently available right now. Let's talk about it. Uh, and and the establishment currently tries to silence voices like this. Like even having the conversation is bad. And honestly, when people try to debate stuff like this, it's always just about, hey, you're not the credentialed person. You haven't done the 5,000 papers or something that we expect out of this. And honestly, they're not actually arguing against the points being made. And then when it turns out that some of this stuff is actually right, like in Graham Hancock's case, there's been evidence of civilizations that are that old, and more comes out all the time. Like, okay, let's listen to this stuff. This isn't fringe. Let's bring this out into the forefront and explore finally. Like the democratization, and I mean I use that word in a good way, of information is really revolutionary, and I think it's unstoppable, and I think it's absolutely right that Donald Trump was successful in this election largely because he understood that information is being conveyed a different way than it was even just 4 years ago, but certainly 8 years ago, 12 years ago, and going on big podcasts and just having conversations and spreading information. And I mean, the battle for ideas it is just completely being won by the voices that are willing to explore and have an open mind. And yeah, it definitely helps that they're following market forces instead of what someone thinks should be the science, should be the ideas, right? Joe Rogan is popular because a bunch of young guys who are into mixed martial arts and gorillas and stuff uh, keep listening to Joe Rogan, and then suddenly they all get into if I'd been paying attention to Joe Rogan back in 2017 or so, maybe I would have seen his Antonopoulos episode, and oh well, my life could have been different, but c'est la vie. Um, but seriously, like idea spreaders, that's how it works. And then honestly you get Michael Saylor talking about how he wants to make education free for everyone in the world forever. Uh, and with 2% of the Bitcoin supply, maybe he actually has a shot at that. But it independent funding, like just say to random person, hey, you don't have to worry about anything for the next decade. Just go research what you want. No one's going to stop you. And you know what? When you have something to say, we're going to get you on all the podcasts we know. We're not going to make them have you on, but we'll get the word out, kind of thing. And I think that's how information is going to grow and going to travel. So it's going to be a fusion of these two things. It's not going to be this controlled thing, this controlled complex, but it is going to be that people with Bitcoin, with resources, who are interested in having something happen are going to spend some of their valuable sats to enable other people to go out into the world to act on their behalf and to do the things that they want to see in the world. And that's going to include research and education and scientific development. It's going to include companies. It's going to include art. The I forget if it's Greece or Rome that did this, but I think it was Greece, that in some of the Greek city states they had this patronage thing where basically whenever a city needed something done, they would go to all the rich people in the city and say, hey, who wants to pay for this? And it was actually a privilege for someone to get the thing done. Like I keep thinking public transportation systems are actually a good thing to have. They make cities really, really livable. And what if, New City X needs a new public transportation system, and then you get a line of Bitcoiners lining up who just see the value in this to be like, yeah, just, put my name on the thing and that's it. I'll pay for your new trains, whatever it is. Like I see that kind of world happening under hyper Bitcoinization.
It's interesting you brought up Hancock because I had Francis Pouliot from Bull Bitcoin on a little while ago, 2 days ago, and he brought this up. He's been really impressed by that series, and so has Bitcoin Shooter, who made the awesome film No More Inflation.
We talked to him. Was it last night, Knut?
It was last night, and we talked about Hancock. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's weird that the Bitcoiners are really enjoying this show, or is it? It's anthropology at the end of the day. We're all really interested in where we've come from, I think, since finding money and how that's, is directly linked to our species and how we've lifted ourselves up to, I mean, do we live in a civilization? Who knows right now? But he said, imagine a day where Hancock doesn't have to go begging around to Netflix and then be at the whim and the mercy of their editing afterwards with his work. Imagine he has the safety net of a handful of Bitcoiners that are just lit up by this and are willing to throw in X amount of Bitcoin per year for the next 5 to 10 years or something. Go and find what you need to find and open source that information, just get it out there. And then you can apply that thinking to anything, whatever, like cancer research to
open sats is honestly like the start of this, right? Like funding Bitcoin developers through grants, right? I mean, this is honestly Bitcoiners whose stacks have appreciated enough to just pay for Bitcoin development, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to like slightly disagree with this because like I had another there's another intention with the pendulum chapter than this, and it's also to like it's a warning to Bitcoins because like the internet, the way it was built and the way it's built now, where the profit models are based around ads, and so you get this this hunt for likes and retweets and subscriptions and stuff, and you get these silos where someone gets really really big and all information goes through that person. So there's a lot of incentive problems with that too, because there are artificial monopolies everywhere since what's it called, information or is treated as property, and there's copyright laws and stuff like this, and gatekeepers everywhere. So the thing we have with the internet is better than the old system, but it's still super flawed. And Bitcoin and Noster are technologies to and Keat and whatever, all of these things that we're building, they are trying to get away from that and from all of these siloed things. Because I think there's the real danger for Bitcoiners and for any other like person that is like trying to search for truth on the internet rather than listening to whatever government-funded scientists say. The danger lies in ideas being popular, making them like taking ideas to be true just because they're popular. And a lot of conspiratorial ideas are popular. And I don't know much about Graham Hancock. Maybe he's an exception to this, but I know of other like scientists that, or people that call themselves scientists but are not really scientists, but they're good at self-marketing, and they got a lot of attention for ideas that maybe wouldn't have, survived the peer review process if it had actually worked the way it was intended. So like I'm just saying, like, being a skeptic is like the point here, and you have to be a skeptic all the way. And remember that all of these systems are flawed, and what we need in order for them to be less flawed, the remedy is sound money and a free market of ideas, and where the incentives aren't screwed up anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So interestingly, what I learned from Shooter about Graham was he had already found Graham before his archaeological work through his book that Gladstein kept referencing in one of his articles or books. I can't remember. but Hancock wrote a book about how foreign aid does the complete opposite of what it's supposed to do, impoverishes the nations rather than. So he's a really interesting character in that regard. You know, he's not just this archaeological mastermind that's come out of nowhere and is challenging just the narrative. He's got this other past as well, which I find rather interesting. So, but yeah, you're right. It's like choosing those characters. Like, you know, everybody's jumping on the back of like the Tate brothers right now because hey, these guys are great. They're talking about Bitcoin. It's like, oh my God, no, this is the worst possible thing.
Yeah, and the doom porn is a thing now, where like whoever says the most negative things gets a ton of views. Like that, everything is a deliberate psyop, and everything is eugenics, and where they're trying to kill us all. Like that will attract a lot of clicks, but it's not necessarily true.
We've got to do geoengineering, Knut.
Oh yeah, but that's another show than this one, I think. We got to do that one.
But interestingly enough, I know I sent you that 30-minute. There's a guy here in Britain, an individual journalist, who I've managed to now get him set up with a Blink wallet and sent him his first sats. He's the one that did the freedom of information request to the UK government for any and all geoengineering projects that have taken place over the last 50
years. Oh, you're going there anyway, aren't you?
Yeah, yes. But just to follow that up, he's now got it from the Ministry of Defense as well. So he's going to be doing a part 2. So it's not like my tweets are going to be slowing down anytime soon.
Looking forward to them.
Trigger warning.
Yes.
Well, hey, like investigate though. I think that is also part of the point. Like this can be a conspiracy theory or whatever it is, but yeah, like dig into it, investigate. Like
that's why I like this guy doing the freedom of information request.
But that's also like don't do this or you'll go to hell. Well, you have to investigate hell. No, I don't. Like I don't need advice to not put my balls in the toaster. Like I can like have an intuition that that's probably a bad idea. And also, I know how big the globe is. I know how much gas it would take to change the weather. I don't really need to research deeper if someone is trying to change the weather or not. If I don't believe that we are capable of changing the weather in the climate change narrative, then I definitely don't believe that we are capable of doing the opposite. Maybe locally over a city here and there for a specific event, Beijing during the Olympics being one, or Dubai. But me here, it's probably not a problem that I will have to focus very much on. Like
Daniel, I'm going to say a thing that Knut's going to roll his eyes over, but this is a trend with us. This is going to be a trend with us. The problem here, Knut, is not everyone thinks the same as you.
And that's exactly my point. Yes, that is the problem,
and that is a good thing. Because, and this is the thing I like about the detractors of Bitcoiners. Like, oh, you're all in your echo chamber, you know, like chest bumping each other. Because he's like, really? Have you spent any time around Bitcoiners?
No, it's always like this.
We argue the point down to like of everything.
No, this is what I love. Like we find the thing we disagree about, and then we talk about that because we align so well on all the other stuff.
It's funny. It's like, oh, Bitcoiners are going to do. Walker did a tweet today but that guy is like, all Bitcoiners are freaking assholes. They're, the dark tetrads, the psychopaths, the guys that tell everybody to have fun staying poor. These are the last people in the world we ever want to have the wealth accumulating, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, man. Like, if this is an echo chamber, it's the only echo chamber that you shout something into. You shout an idea into that echo chamber, and 10,000 opposing ideas come back at you with vitriol. Like,
yeah, it's amazing.
but in all seriousness, investigate the things if it means something to you. Like, and I want there to be a world where this can happen. Now, you can't do it without resources. You can't do it without the market actually wanting it. Or, you can buy Bitcoin in 2024 for $107,000 and wait 20 years and you can investigate whatever the fuck you want because you have no worries anymore. So buy Bitcoin.
Sorry to tell
what
you.
Luke said. What Luke said. All of
Sorry
it.
to tell you, Luke. Bitcoin just crashed $500, so we're back down to
Yeah, see,
We lost
106,000.
107,000. It's dead.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Pack it up. Go home.
We've got to shill some stuff, guys. There's something going on in August, which Luke needs to talk about.
Man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
My guy. Yeah. Let me. It's yeah. BTC hell. Are you coming, Daniel?
I agreed to MC for you, so I think so.
Good. Okay, good.
Yeah, then you can say you've been to hell and back, and that's good.
It would be the first time. It would be the first time for us to
Go
visit
to hell. Go to hell with your geoengineering, Daniel.
Yeah, and your family.
Good.
Go to hell with all your family.
No, so we're part of the organizing team for BTC Hell. If you haven't figured it out, that means Helsinki. So we're there's a bunch of other great people on the team. Thankfully, it's not just me, not just us, but I'm on the ground here, and through these awesome pods and conversations and everything, we've got quite a one or two connections in the community. So we've been throwing around invites and everything. We've got a lot of great speakers already lined up. Martti Malmi, I think, is in his home turf, I think, is an especially good one. But yeah, we've got a bunch of others confirmed. Obviously, both of you guys, and yeah, we're looking to make this. It's an adoption conference. It's about growing the footprint of Bitcoin in the local community. So get the word out there, get it in front of people who can actually make a difference there. There's a lot of industry in Finland. I mean that both actually just in the literal sense. There's a lot of industrial manufacturing and this and that in Finland, but there's also a lot of Bitcoin mining coming there. For two reasons. There's nuclear energy, and so electricity is actually fairly dependable in Finland. And second, there's a lot of use cases for Bitcoin mining. It's still profitable to just have a shipping container with a bunch of ASICs in there. But so the main thing is we want to show what Bitcoin mining can do. So that's one specific case. But then we want to just talk about all the reasons why it's awesome and it can help change the world in a positive way and break down a lot of FUD. Also, why Bitcoin, not crypto? We're absolutely going to say the bad words and specifically like here's why you should ignore all of the others because they're all scams. So, yeah, the hope is we're
We have
coming
to have an
into.
open mind, Luke.
Oh, do we? Yeah, thanks. Well, I'm not touching that one.
Pratchett quote.
Yeah,
The problem with an open mind is that people will come along and try to put stuff in it.
Yeah.
And that is in the book too.
No,
I think it is, yeah.
we're specifically trying to put specific ideas into the minds of the people of Finland and the Nordics. So, yeah, come join us. If you're a Bitcoiner from who's never been to Finland and you want to come see how awesome it is, I mean, I moved there. I still really like it. There was 2 hours of sun today, and that was great. That's all I needed.
And what hours? What hours of the day? Because the kids are complaining, like, "Oh my god, it gets dark at 3:30 in the UK." I'm like, "Yeah, you want to know? You want to know how long Luke's day is up in Finland?"
Well, it does get dark around 3 p.m., but like yeah, like 10 to 3, something like that. There's some light,
Wow.
Yeah. So pretty dark, pretty dark. So I don't know what
But
dark
this
means at
this
3:30.
this conference will be in August, which is the reverse.
Exactly. It'll be the reverse. So it's going to be nice long days, like 16, 18-hour days. Yeah. It'll be great. We'll have saunas everywhere. The venue is very near the sea on two sides, actually. That works. This is a big peninsula. And yeah, just come see the place and um represent Bitcoin. That's the pitch to international Bitcoiners, and of course we're marketing this to everyone in the Bitcoin community in Finland. Come out and try to convince people to come in. Like, this is the perfect opportunity to get your pre-coiner friends who maybe have been skeptical or not convinced to come do it. But
have you got a website up and running? Are tickets on sale?
btchell.com tickets are on sale. There's an early bird going on right now. I'm not sure if the pod will be out, like when it'll be out, but yeah, there is an early bird going on right now, and prices will go up as sales are made, basically. So that's
We don't have
do you have
a
like a
affiliate.
Bitcoin do you have a Bitcoin Infinity show discount or anything like that the guys
we'll
can use?
use code Infinity or code Bitten or code Freedom or something like that,
Yes.
and give it a try at the checkout. And
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, shoot us a DM.
Exactly. That's actually the completely right move, because I've been telling the team to get the affiliate
Yes.
codes working.
BTC Hell, and that's spelled with one L, right?
Yes, btchel.com.
Okay. I'll put the link in the show notes so people can come find it. And it's back end of August?
August 15, 16.
Mid-August.
Mid-August,
So
yes.
no excuses. I think, honestly, it should be, for anybody listening, 2025 has to be the year that if you've never been to a conference, you make it your first time. It doesn't have to be this one. Just freaking make it happen. Get to an real life conference, because look at the way it's shaped our lives. I cannot speak highly enough of these events, and just start locally. Go to your local meetup. Join Orange Pill app. Nice little shill there, Knut. Both Knut and I sit on the board there and try and help. Because why? Because meeting people in real life shaped everything. You guys, the three of us met in real life, I think, the same freaking weekend in Riga.
Was it actually
Knut and I had already met?
You two had never met before
we
that?
had no, we had met.
Knut and I had met, but
we were
almost
almost married already by then.
No, it was
they're arguing like a married couple for months on end.
There you go about geoengineering again. Yeah.
That's still 2022, right?
Yeah. September 2022, Riga.
Yeah.
I think we met in 2020, Daniel. What do you think? Like
online,
and then but in real life too, right?
No.
Which one what could be in the first one? No, the first time I met you was when I drove down to Spain. It's right. In 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah. August 2021.
And you come and crashed with us.
Around the 21st, I believe.
Yeah.
It might actually have been the 21st. Wouldn't that have been something?
You have to check your calendar. It'll be, I'm sure it'll be.
That's so...
That'll be freaking amazing if it is. But like, the point being, the three of us hanging out in Riga, and now look at you two guys. 150 episodes. You made your own show, a book together. Goodness knows how many conferences together. The music together, getting up and doing the Satoshi Nakamoto's. That wouldn't have happened if Luke hadn't bought a ticket to go to Riga. I mean, Knut would have gone
100%.
He's talking. So, all right, Luke, tell the plebs, please, get to a fucking conference, get to a meetup, meet your people in real life. If you're not doing that, you are missing out on the greatest part of Bitcoin.
Well, yeah, what you just said, but I'll echo that and one more for you. Yeah, I wouldn't have done any of this without just showing up. I mean, this is the corollary, the opposite corollary to proof of work, right? You can't know what work is going to get the results. You can't know that. You can have an idea though, and you can try to guide yourself in the right direction. And for me, it was, hey, there's a conference. I'm sorry. There's a conference in my backyard. Like, Riga is a 45-minute flight from Helsinki. And I was in Helsinki already by that point. I have no excuses not to go somehow. And already I'd been out on Twitter. I'd only found Twitter a few months previously too. Like, this is how clueless I was. People don't necessarily know where to find Bitcoiners. It's true. Like, if you don't know that Twitter is the place to go, like, the content isn't the same on Facebook. It's not the same on LinkedIn. It's not the same on Reddit. You need to be on Twitter or Nostr, of course. But how are you going to find Nostr if you're not a Bitcoiner right now? I don't know. But yeah, I'd gotten on Twitter and tried to find some things that I could contribute to. And Knut and I had our introductions online some weeks before, and we had some ideas of projects we would do together. But yeah, it was show up in Riga. I know absolutely nobody.
We had done like 3 shows or something, I think.
By that point, like
yeah.
like three, yeah, exactly. And you know, it's like show up to Riga, and I know nobody until you walk in. I certainly know of many of the people there, and I mean Daniel, like you when I had looked up Bitcoin podcasts when I was first trying to go down the rabbit hole in late 2020, early 2021, it's like okay, it's like what Bitcoin did, the TFTC guys, and Daniel Prince's Once Bitten. This was like some list of like top 3, top 5 and everything. And so it's like when it clicked that, oh, you're that Daniel Prince, like, oh my goodness, like I was already starstruck, you know. And then we ended up just hanging out. And you know, honestly, both of you are welcoming. That was amazing. I was thrilled and honored just to be there, and I was trying to help out, and you know, my entire attitude was just, hey, make the most of this time, and you both were gracious with yours, and I mean, I guess you saw something there that was worth spending time with I don't know, at the risk of not being humble, but like minds, right? We found each other, and I'm still just thrilled to be here. The surreal doesn't end,
Yeah.
but I keep leaning in, you know.
And but the point is, multiply that by another 15 times, because another 3 guys would have found each other at that same conference, and then another 3 guys at the conference after that, and they go on, like the Bridge to Bitcoin guys, for example, here in the UK. I just released an episode with James. 3 guys that turn up to a Bedford match, the first ever Bedford match, don't even watch the football, end up drinking beers together, blah 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 blah, and go and create Bridge to Bitcoin to help small to medium sized enterprises start accepting Bitcoin, all voluntary. And another, one of that team has also got the Bitcoin Events UK meetup list going on. He's got his mailing list, keeps everybody up to date in the UK of all of the meetups. This is the network. This is the network. Number of people go up.
Absolutely. And just to echo what Luke said, like you cannot know which work will be. You can have you can make an educated guess, but I think that's what I try to live by. Like if you don't do anything, if you do fuck all, nothing will happen. Mm-hmm. Like that's poverty. Like no one's gonna help. Like if you do nothing, nothing's gonna happen. If you do something, nothing's probably gonna happen then either. Like in all probability, nothing will happen, but something can happen. So the more you do, the more of those something can happen chances you get. Like so if you want to win the lottery, play all the lotteries, like and put in the work, do all the things.
It's like playing the cards. You talk about playing the cards in the book.
Yeah, you only have
you can't just sit there at the table with all your cards. You've got to lay them down at one stage, when it's your turn. You got
the life cards. Yeah,
your life cards.
Yeah, and it's what it's all about. At any single point in life, like I'm paraphrasing the book here, but you only have the set of cards on hand that you have, no matter where you came from or what you have at this specific moment is exactly that. You have whatever you own, your property, your money, your wealth, your Bitcoin, whatever. You have your family, you have your network of other people, and you have your skills. And those are the only cards you can play. And how you play them, how well you play them, determines what hand you have later on in the game. And it's as simple as that. That's how life works.
That sounds like a pretty good place to leave that one. But there's an extra question. Goodness knows how many times you've answered this one, Knut. But if you had one last orange pill left to give to somebody, who would you give it to and why?
I always have such good answers to this, except for when I actually get the question. Ask it to Luke first, and I'll come up with a great name.
You have the epiphany at like 3 a.m. in the morning. You wake up with the Donald Duck laser eyes. who I'd give that to.
All right, Luke, who would you orange pill?
Thinking closer to home, maybe. I would orange pill. Um, I would orange pill my favorite band, Korpiklani, the lead singer of the band of Korpiklani, because he's given me so much joy. I want him to have the joy of the best form of money in the world. I'm gonna go see them. My mother-in-law gets to come babysit. She's coming all the way from Canada to babysit so that my wife and I can go see them in concert. This is maybe an unserious answer, but I want the people that have given me joy in my life to to really find this thing properly. That's the serious answer, and I apply that to a lot of people. But I want the effect to apply closer to home right now.
Nice. What do you got, Knut?
I got a controversial one.
Of course.
I would like to orange pill all the people at Bitcoin Magazine.
All.
Yes, every single one of them, or all the ones that aren't yet properly orange pilled. I won't say more than that.
No, we won't. We won't.
There
name
are
names.
a lot of people at Bitcoin Magazine are properly orange pilled, but I would like to orange pill the rest, the people that aren't. And that goes for every other magazine too, by the way. So, like, I would like to orange pill the people who aren't properly orange pilled.
Yeah, oh, goodness me. Yeah, that could be a lot. Right. Where can people find your show? What's the best resource that they can go and find to audio books? You've got a website now. You've got the merch store up and running. Give us the shill.
We are Bitcoin Infinity everything. So you search that, we will come up for most things on the Google, on Twitter, on Nostr. But bitcoininfinity.com takes you to our web shop. Right now, it's just a redirect to bitcoininfinitystore.com. If you want more podcast stuff, we've got our channel on YouTube. We release everything on Nostr early, so just search for Bitcoin Infinity everything, and you'll notice now, no matter when this is, that we have tweaked this a little to encompass what this thing actually is. We're not just a show anymore. We've got a publishing house. We didn't say that we are relaunching, well, not relaunching, but we are taking over Bitcoin Times magazine and putting out a whole bunch of stuff related to that over the next few months.
No way.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
All right, guys. Like, when did that come about? This is Svetsky's one, yeah?
Yeah. We talked to Svetsky back in Prague about this, and now it's becoming a reality.
Yeah, the first new things that have us at the helm are going to come out in January. So,
what's the backstory on that?
I mean, the backstory of the whole thing is sort of this idea of you are your Bitcoin, and we're all incentivized to help one another, right? So what we've figured out is, like, the more people we can just collaborate with and do value for value and do 50-50 profit splits or whatever, and align incentives as much as possible, the better. So we just want to collaborate with everyone, and we do whatever we have time bandwidth for. So we try to do all the things and do them ourselves, and get the best out of people. So we've got a bunch of authors that are going to publish with us. We got a bunch of translation teams coming on. We got this Bitcoin Times thing going. We got the pod. We got a new series coming up with the Bitcoin Infinity Book Club, where we talk about all the books and all sorts of stuff. I'm doing the conference ping ponging as usual. Going to now. Oh, we're going somewhere first, but then we're going to Colombia and El Salvador in January. Bunch of other places later on in the year. Like, trying to take it all in and do as much as possible and just keep on living the meme. That's what I intend to do, because I love it, and I love having Luke beside me on this journey, because we match so well. So yeah, looking forward to all of it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. Thanks for everything that's
Yeah.
you've both been doing and continue to do and will continue to do for Bitcoin.
And follow us on social media, like our personal accounts as well. All the most important stuff is there. And like, subscribe, and brush your teeth. Like, subscribe, and brush Daniel's teeth too. Like, or like, subscribe to his show too. Do all the things. I mean, we love you. We wouldn't be us if it weren't for. I'm going into cliche mode now.
Exactly. It's just right back at you, Daniel. Yeah,
bro
actually,
love, bro love everywhere. Everybody appreciates
you on again.
Bitcoin bro love. That's for
bro
sure.
Love. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. Appreciate you both.
Thanks again, Daniel. You too.
Right back at you, man.